Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for another breakfast with Blaha. And today I'm having steak, brown rice, and broccoli. So it's not quite true bro dieting here because I got steak instead of chicken, right? Which, kind of its own topic. I actually believe in bro dieting. Even when I've bulked and been in higher body fats, I believe in bro dieting. I think it's healthier. I think it's better. But that's kind of another topic. Let's talk about bodybuilding world, something I'm not involved in. I don't like bodybuilding. People know that. All right. So when people jump up and they'll try to argue with me, I'm like, I'm not a bodybuilding fan. I don't care. But I know a lot about it, and I have a lot of friends who are serious bodybuilders. I have met and hung out with IFBB pros and things in the past. Not necessarily the top ones at the Olympia, but I know bodybuilders. So let's talk about Synthol. Everyone always uses this word. They talk about Synthol, and the truth is, other than Boston Lloyd, I don't think there's anyone else who uses Synthol. And I do really mean that. And this has been my experience over the years, that this is a trendy name that came up. Again, Greg Valentino, people always called him the Synthol guy. Back when I was younger, the man whose arm exploded. And the truth is, Greg was actually honest when he said, actually, she didn't even use Synthol. Now, people say, well, look at those grotesque arms, you clearly did. They're not understanding. Synthol is sterilized oil that people inject that has no drugs in it. That's not what Craig did. That's not what pro bodybuilders do. All right, that's not what pro bodybuilders do. Again, Boston Lloyd, maybe a few of his fans, might be the only human beings in the last 20 years to have used Synthol. He was making it his product. So what do we see happening here? And before we get over to just the fact that everyone side enhances gear, that's actually what they're doing, which actually works. It actually does work. There may be some localized muscle growth, hypothetically, but at the very least, it produces the effect people are wanting from the Synthol. And I do mean everybody in pro bodybuilding does this, like all of them. So before someone says, well, guys well, if they're going to compete in that, you have to. You do not have a choice. So we need to make that clear. They want them too big. They need their arms and delts and everything to be bigger than they can actually physically get them with muscle. They don't have a choice. So either they got to change their judging standards or it's mandatory. And it is that simple. What do you want them to do? I would say don't compete in this silly crap, would be my opinion. But so what are we seeing with everyone else? All right, you've seen some of these people in South America and stuff. Some of these guys are like, oh, this is a Synthol guy. They've all been all over the internet a decade ago. Look at all that fake muscle. It's Synthol. Actually, it was motor oil, cooking oil. That's what that guy was putting in his muscles. Now, of course, a lot of you are going to say, well, that sounds pretty dangerous. Well, yeah, and the guys who are doing that are obviously mentally ill, right? They're suffering from very serious mental illness. Okay, so when you're looking at that, you're saying, oh, what an idiot. No. Saying that is like saying that the person down the street who maybe has schizophrenia and goes off their meds, or someone who's severe bipolar goes off their meds, oh, they're an idiot. Well, no, they're just mentally ill. And that really is the case with someone like that, because they're injecting a bizarre foreign substance in their body, not something ever made to be used for human use. They're injecting a bizarre substance into their body that's going to eventually harm or kill them to look bizarre and weird. Okay? And in their mind, they're thinking it looks like muscle, so they keep going. Okay, it's mental illness. We had that one Russian kid, again, Russian Synthol guy or whatever. Well, it turned out now the doctors have looked at it and they're having to try to go in and surgically remove a lot of this stuff. and the damage is bad, like it's hurt his health really bad. Turns out he was just using petroleum jelly. Now people say, well, why? Because they can't afford Synthol. Like, if you start talking about these quantities that people are putting in there of this stuff, and you look at what actually even trying to find Synthol and buy it, look at the price tag on it. These people would be spending $20,000, $30,000 a year on this. They don't have that type of money. Do you think the guy hanging out in Brazil who looks like that has $30,000 laying around just in liquid capital? No. Be realistic here, because they're using enormous quantities of oil. Now let's talk about some YouTubers. The late Rich Piana. We have Cali Muscle. Remember when Cali Muscle started to worry about his health and he shrank way down and you could see all still the side enhancement there? That's just from anabolics. That's side enhancing. Same thing Greg Valentino did, although obviously to a much lesser extent, right? So when people were saying that, and I think he may have said, I never used Synthol, he probably wasn't lying. He was probably being honest. So he was being truthful. He's just side enhancing. Which Dave Crossland, if you guys remember when he did his little documentary, he had said everyone cites. It's normal. Like, as he was doing his calves and triceps and all this stuff on camera. It's like everybody in bodybuilding cites. It's not weird. It's the norm. Everyone does it. And he's right. People say, well, what about Piana? Well, did you guys notice Piana's muscles didn't move? That wasn't Synthol either. And if you look at the history there, one of his ex-wives discussed in detail what he was doing. And it makes sense when you look at the way that his arms and shoulders look. The way that none of it moved. So what was it? It was collagen. It was collagen, large amounts of collagen procedures under his skin. That would be consistent with what you would see. That's consistent with what you would see when you look at him, because it obviously wasn't muscle. And it didn't move, so it wasn't even inside the muscle. So any sort of side enhancement will be internal. The muscle will still move. It was like a suit he was wearing over the muscle, but it was under the skin. Now, again, before people say, that's crazy, that's weird. Well, yeah, it is. But did he strike you as a completely balanced person? I mean, be realistic here. I'm not going to try to talk bad about the dead, but I mean, think about that for a moment. And of course, he did all that long before YouTube existed. So what are you seeing in all these pro bodybuilders? They're just side enhancing their gear. Think about how much some of them are using and the quantities they're taking. Do you think they're putting all that in their glutes? I mean, realistically, you start looking at the amounts and the frequencies of injections. You can't put all of that in your glutes, which is the standard medical site for prescription. Usually Delts is the number 2 behind it, second most common. All right, that's not going to fit. It won't physically all fit, so they're putting it in, obviously Delts still, biceps, triceps, all this stuff, and it just accumulates scar tissue over time. And hypothetically, there may be some localized growth. I don't want to, take that to the bank, but there may be. But that is what you're seeing in pro bodybuilding. They're just citing their gear, meaning their testosterone, their anabolics, all of that. That's what they're doing. So it's not really Synthol, but it is side enhancement, and there is fake muscle there. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.